guys, back again. Right, today we are going to talk about how to turn your ideas into a plot. Sounds difficult, but it's really not. We'll get there. It's all good. You trust me, right? I trust you. We got a thing going on. It's cool. Okay, so you've got an idea for a story, and it seems like a fucking awesome idea. You think you can really do it justice, but that's all it is. It's an idea. Now, all you need to do is turn it into a workable plot. Simple, right? Not always, no. Unfortunately not. Sometimes, turning an idea into something that you can work with is the place where we really come unstuck. Don't worry, we're going to work for it together and we are going to get that plot down. First up, write the idea down, or record yourself a voice note or whatever. Just get that sucker down physically, okay? Yeah, I know, you have a brain, you can remember it, it is the best story in the world, so don't worry. Stop. Do worry. Because as much as you believe that you will remember it, is it really worth taking the risk? Just write that shit down, okay? There's nothing wrong with writing it down. It doesn't make you less of a writer because you can't remember your own idea. Write it down. We've got so much other stuff going on in our heads that, you know, it's going to slip out of there. It's going to go bye-bye. I've had that so many times. Let me make the mistakes for you so that you don't have to. Write that idea down. Not only will it mean that your idea is safe, but you will also capture the excitement of your idea and it will remind you why you had the idea in the first place. Okay, next I want you to ask yourself why you like this idea. What's the selling point of it? You know, if you had to describe the point of your story to someone, what would you say? Now, if you aren't sure as to why you like this idea, then it might help to ask yourself a few of the following questions. Ask yourself, who is the main character? What are they like? Where are they from? What's their kind of personality? How did the character find themselves in this situation? Okay, did they not want to be there? If so, why didn't they want to be there? Was it by accident or was it something of their own doing? Was it their own problem or was it circumstance? Ask yourself, what is their motivation? Everyone has to have motivation, right? Or maybe it was a setting. Maybe you like the setting of the story the most. Maybe you got this idea of setting a story in Scotland. So what part of that interests you? What kind of character or conflict would best suit that setting? Is the idea more of a theme than an actual story? Do you just like the idea of writing a horror or a tragic story of loss? What is it about that theme that interests you? If you were reading a book with this theme, what kind of characters would you like to read about? What kind of story would interest you? Finding the motivation behind your story idea is half the battle. So, now that we know why we like this story idea, it's time to expand on it. If you've yet to answer the following questions, now is the time to do so. Who is the main protagonist? What is their motivation or their ultimate goal? What would they do to achieve this goal? How do they plan to win? How far will they actually go to achieve this goal? Are they willing to ride over everybody to get to this point? How desperate are they? What disaster could you throw at your protagonist to prevent them from achieving this goal? How can you throw them off balance? How can you break them down so that you can bring them back up again? Who is your antagonist? Okay, who's working against your main character? Who will oppose them? Is it a corporation, an ex-friend, an enemy from school, or just their current situation? What will be the core conflict? Who or what is the big bad that happens in this story? And what is the ultimate goal? If you haven't got a clear idea of your character and those around them that will help flesh out the story, now would be a good time to explore that in more depth. I would suggest going online and looking for a character questionnaire, like an interview for your characters. Fill out the whole thing, really thinking about your character and trying to answer each question as fully as possible. Your readers don't need to know everything about them. You don't have to try and squeeze all of this information that you dig up into your story, but as the writer, you need to know them. The whole purpose of this exercise is to get to know your characters better, to build a connection with them and to know their motivations, how they talk, how they think, everything. Don't make the mistake of fully focusing on your main character and ignoring the characters that make up your supporting cast. Nothing can bring a story down more than static secondary characters. It doesn't matter how amazing your main character is. It's the secondary characters that help move the plot along, and without them, your story will be static and boring. So, make sure that you're giving them the getting to know you treatment as well. Once you know all of these points, then it's time to move on to your plot. Start with the obvious. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. What is the story about? What is happening? When and where does it take place? Why is it happening? Why is this character in the story? How is it going to be resolved? Before you start fleshing out your plot, make sure that you've done your research. Okay? There's nothing worse for a reader than a story that doesn't seem realistic. Even if you're writing fantasy, it still has to have some elements of true life in it. Research is your friend. Start with what you know about your story. The location, time period, your character's jobs or the hobbies, situations, anything that is of relevance. Then research the crap out of it. Write down everything you know about it, or that you think you know, and then get online or go to the library and fact check. Add extra details, familiarise yourself with everything. The more you know, the better your writing will be. Because as writers, we're always told, write what you know. The more you got up there, the more is going to come out. Once you have the answers to these questions, then you're ready to move on to the actual plotting. Now, I'm not going to go into detail of all the ways to plot, because I've done that in another video, but I will just touch on the main elements that you need in your story. The ordinary world. Establish the state of the world at the start of your story. Is it the real world? Is it a fantasy world? Is it on a different planet? How is the main character treated? You know, are they ignored? Are they picked on? Are they stuck in like a dead-end job? What is life like for them? For this, I'm going to use my first novel as an example, because I'm not going to be done for copyright or anything like that. I can't be done for copyright of myself. Topaz is in a dating rut, on an endless string of bad dates set up by her friends that are doing nothing to prove how little they actually know her. She'd rather focus on work. At least that doesn't moan at her for not recycling her tinfoil. Now, instead of enjoying a relaxing holiday at home, her boss is forcing her to go on a research trip to Edinburgh. Next, you have your inciting incident. Something must happen to trigger a change for your main character, to spark the protagonist to take action. In mine, Topaz heads to Edinburgh in search of a real-life vampire, and she meets Logan. Obstacles and reversals. This is the main bulk of your story, where your protagonist is trying, and likely mostly failing, to achieve their goals or to make the changes that the inciting incident has made inevitable. The vampire that Topaz was supposed to meet, Mason, has vanished, and now someone has broken into her hotel room, stealing all of her research. She also discovers a secret about Logan. The final battle, the biggest obstacle of them all, the one that will let the protagonist win, or in the case of tragedy or an ongoing series, lose everything. Topaz discovers who's been working against her, realising that not everyone is who they appear to be. Then lastly, you've got your new normal. This is the state of the world, or your main character's life, at the end of their journey. This is where Topaz is safe and has admitted her feelings for Logan, allowing them to finally be together. Now, I'm not giving spoilers of my own books, because at the end of the day, it's been out for 4 years. You've only got to look at my website. You know that this is fine. It's all good. Think about each of these story elements in terms of your idea. Thinking through all of these elements should help you to build the story in your mind's eye. It should allow you to work your way through the plot in a way that will allow you to start writing. Don't be put off if you can't plan out everything and plan out every element of your story straight away. There is no reason not to start writing. Remember that everything can be edited, and sometimes the act of writing will actually help the ideas to flow. So, no excuses, just get to writing and give it a go. That's all for today. I hope that this helped in some way, and as always, hit me up if you've got any questions or video requests. Until next time, blessed be and happy writing.